Hello everyone, Brian here. This is our last video for 2016. Can you believe the year's almost over? And with the end of the year, I thought I'd make this final video and kind of go over a few things. I have some notes to help me. The first thing we're going to go over is the weather. I often include a weather report in my videos. For many gardeners, we know that the weather plays a huge role in how our plants turn out. If we get a lot of sun, leaves are not going to be nice and big. Water is a big thing too, because plants are, like us, mostly water. So we have a lot of water, the plants are going to swell up. And for people that are unfamiliar with our Southern California climate, this weather report hopefully will give you clues as to how things are in relation to how the plants are growing. The biggest weather report or weather phenomenon for this year and topic is our drought. And very early on in the year, and probably right before the 2016 year started, we were very excited about El Nino. Unfortunately for the LA area, we didn't experience El Nino, but for the more important region of the state, we got a lot of water, and the water's being charged and stored and harvested for use. But for LA, we didn't get the El Nino that was expected, so it was very dry. And in contrast, we were forecast to have La Nina, which is supposed to be warm and dry, which is nice for the end of the year, because that means our growing season was extended. But now we're getting a lot of rain. They're not calling it El Nino yet, but I think it's El Nino because we're getting days where it rains for 12 plus hours and a good amount of rain too. So that's very welcome, especially with some of the permaculture techniques that we employ here, like using hugel bed, which is basically we use logs that we get from trimming the trees in the back, and we put them in the ground. As the logs decompose, they become spongy and they'll soak up all the water that would otherwise just drain off or just permeate deeper into the ground. So that's nice, because then we have our mini reservoirs that our plants can use. I'm not sure if you can see, there's some cardboard that I've laid out on the grass just to get wet, and I'm going to roll those into logs and just use them as a way to soak up water as well too, and let the plants I guess drink that way. So that's our weather report. More micro, the weather has been really cold in the morning, and when the sun comes out, it's nice and warm. It's t-shirt and shorts weather, and it's really bright. And so I wanted to make the videos then, but it's just really hard on the camera, and the lighting's not very good. So that's our weather report. Our next topic is highlights from the year. And the biggest highlight is probably that being a stay-at-home dad, going on the second year of being a stay-at-home dad, I found more time to be in the yard and garden. So we got a lot of things done this year, as opposed to the first year of being a stay-at-home dad, where if you saw some of the videos then, I was just drained, just didn't have a lot of energy, and I'm like a zombie. I'm talking to the camera like this, and very monotone and all that stuff. But second year is better. So we got a lot of things done. We were able to work on improving the aesthetics of the backyard. In addition to being able to garden, we're able to find time to make it look a little bit nicer. And most of that was started with the installation of the raised planters. And you may have seen videos on that. So we installed raised planters, and the goal is to beautify some of the space that's closer to the house. And with our containers that were replaced, we'll just move them further to the back. The goal for next year is to also improve the space here and replace the containers with a planter of some sort. And then we also worked more on succession planting. And succession planting is this idea where we sow or grow just enough plants that to use, and then as we use it, we sow more as the plant's growing, we sow more so that when we harvest these guys, these plants will be ready the next time we need them, and so on and so forth. The cool thing about that is that it's less wasteful that way, and less of our produce ends up in the compost bin. Just being in the past, just being busy, we would plan our weeks ahead at the supermarket, buy a whole bunch of produce, and then you know, something happens, or we're tired at the end of the day, don't feel like cooking, and the produce just sits in the fridge, and some of them just kind of start decomposing, and it ends up in the compost bin. So with succession planting, we can kind of mitigate that waste a little bit. Let's see, and then as far as plants, we grew a bunch of new plants this year, and that's one of the things you'll find on this channel, is that we're trying new plants, and hopefully you get to see plants that you've never seen before or otherwise heard of. One of them is the holy basil, and it's taken me a couple years to track down the one that is used in a Thai dish called gua pao gai, and we were able to grow it and make a more authentic version of that dish. So that was super exciting. The next plant that we're trying out is wasabi, and it's growing on this planter here. So hopefully we can grow some wasabi. We'll find out next year how things go. So it's been hanging out here all summer long, and hopefully between now and next late spring we'll get something out of it. And yeah, that's the highlight. Those are some of the highlights for this year. I think you can see some orange dot here. That's our blood orange, and it's a sanguinelli blood orange. So it's finally fruiting. So that's another highlight for this year. But more so probably for next year, because we're going to wait until next year before we try it out. It'll probably be sweeter then. And speaking of next year, we'll always be trying new things to grow, but two plants in particular we're going to focus on. Corn. Corn takes a lot of space, and I know there's a lot of space back there, but we use it for running around and stretching out our feet. But we're going to try to grow more corn. This year we grew the golden bantam corn, and we're going to grow that. But in addition, we're going to grow some ornamental corn. So we have some really colorful corn that we're going to try to grow. The exact name escapes me right now, but it's commonly called glass gem. And then the other corn we're going to grow is another ornamental corn. It's a variegated corn. I think it has red stripes in it. So those are the things that we're going to try to grow next year, find some space and grow them. But the biggest thing to look forward to next year is the birth of our second son. So my wife and I are expecting our second son in late January. So not sure how things are going to pan out as far as having time to be gardening or making videos. But I think maybe we'll see videos where I'm gardening with my son.
What's down there?
Coin.
What's on the bottom? What's down here?
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin? Where's the chokes?
Choke, choke. Choke, choke.
What is that, Owen?
Choke, choke.
Chokes? Artichoke?
Kids. So I think what we'll do is we may see more of my son, my eldest son, in the video running around, or we're just gardening together like we do when we're not making these videos. He and we garden together, and he's been super helpful. So I think that's probably what may end up happening if we're able to make videos. So hopefully we'll continue to be able to make videos for you guys. And let's see, next year, corn, pumpkins. Oh, pumpkins. The other thing we're going to try to grow are more pumpkins for just ornamental pumpkins. So we're going to try to grow this giant Atlantic giant pumpkin, see if we get a big one, and some other neat looking ones for Halloween and fall decor. So that's also next year as well. And just lastly, closing remarks. Just I can't thank you guys enough for coming out and gardening with me, and for just watching these videos. I enjoy making them, and I'm glad that you guys also enjoy watching most of them. I'll try to keep them nice and short. Video making is, as I found out, quite difficult to do, and with me just wanting to share everything, I just have a hard time cutting it down so it's nice and short. So I'll try to work on that as much as possible. And I want to thank you for all your support in the comments. Very nice comments that you guys write, and I can't thank you enough. So thank you for your patronage, your company, and everything else. So until 2017, we'll see you then.